Alright, what's poppin', people? We're back. And may as well keep the tradition up for a bit. I want to cover more ADVNU because I love this tier. I love this format, it's just really fun. And today we got a game between Xylophone XX and Arctic Breeze, and Zoroastrianism on the left here. Player that I've got a very weird perspective of. It felt like he was sandbagging for the first few weeks, and now he looks just so much better. So I don't know if that's just he's finally found his groove or what, but he's looking a lot better now. And of course, Arctic Breeze, he's probably just considered at this point the best current ADV player. Maybe you still put Triangles above him, but Arctic, going into this game, undefeated in this tournament. I think undefeated in the last team tour as well that he was playing ADVN. Point being, of course, that he's had a really good history over the past multiple tournaments that he's been playing as Tyrion. So I was expecting him to be the heavy favorite in this game. But now, of course, it's time to see how this game play out. Of course, as always, if you're enjoying this content, leave a like, subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. We're trying to hit 5K by the end of the year. Let's get into it, man. Now, we're going to start off with a Wailord versus a Hitmonchan lead. Now, there are two ways this could play out. Both players could opt to trade damage, but that usually favors... I would say that favors Chan a lot of the time, because Whale isn't going to be fast enough to contend with Hitmonchan. If it's the utility-ish, bulky Hitmonchan lead, Wailord could be faster, because some lead Wailord like to run a lot of speed, and lead Hitmonchan, if it's that bulkier set, usually is sitting around the 200 mark. Wailord could end up contesting 210 if at once. We're going to see the Hitmonchan switch out, though, so Arctic just doesn't want to take that trade. He's valuing health on his Hitmonchan, potentially worried about maybe, you know, like something he'd need Mach Punch for in the back, right? So Glalie comes out, and when you see a Glalie in the back, oftentimes these do end up having some bulk on them. Now, looking at damage, there's some damage later on that this Wailord does that has me just thinking it's not even fully invested in special attack. Anyhow, so that might not even be, you know, a bulkier Glalie. Seeing leftovers still has me expecting it to be, but again, we don't know for sure yet. And yeah, Spike up there is always going to happen. Wailord isn't going to stay in risking getting boomed on. And then the Pelipper can come out really easily on the Flareon. And we're going to see hidden power of, you know, some kind, grass or electric here. What this tells us is that this is Agility Pelipper. And seeing this team, how it's shaping up, you know, maybe it's something more offense-based. Again, I said this, I think, in yesterday's upload too, but normally you see Glalie lead on offense as opposed to in the back. In the back, Glalie, historically at least, has been more of a thing for more of those balanced teams, where you just want to preserve more of its kit for the long run as opposed to just using it turn one, getting spikes up, and using Explosion on the most convenient turn you get in those first, like, 5 or so. And Hitmonchan switching out makes me think maybe that it is more offensive still, and he just really wants to preserve health, because if he's, like, choice banned, then yeah, he could pop a Wailord lead really easily. And he'll outspeed, 2-hit KO. But anyhow, that's beside the point. Let's continue watching this game. And we're going to see a double into Haunter, predicting HP Electric. And he eats up a Hydro Pump. This is the calc I was talking about, where this is a surprisingly low amount of damage for a Wailord to do. I rewatched this replay right before I started recording this because I just wanted to refresh myself on the game, make sure I could talk this through a little bit better and gather some initial thoughts. And like, so one thing, the reason I came to two conclusions. One, Arctic, let's even let the next play out, because we see Destiny Bond here, so maybe that has people thinking, okay, is this Haunter just dedicating to the utility route and says, I don't care if I do damage? Well, that's pretty unlikely. One, because that's just a bad set, right? In this format, Haunter is one of the best breakers, so even if you're tapping into moves like Destiny Bond, Explosion, you still want to invest in your attacking power. You just want to do damage, because you're not always looking to self-KO early on. So I threw that out of memory pretty quickly, and also because Arctic Freeze just has a tendency for running Magnet on his Haunters, because he likes to amp up the power of Thunderbolt. Most of your switch-ins to Haunter take neutral from Thunderbolt, if you're thinking about Chimecho, or Flareon, or Metang. So getting, you know, an extra 10% on him is pretty good. And so, seeing the Glalie damage, now seeing this weirdly low Haunter damage, this has me just thinking this is maybe still, it's still offensive Wailord. You wouldn't run Hydro Pump on a bulkier set. You're going to want the extra power points that Surf would provide. It's just a bulkier Wailord that's still offensive, right? He just doesn't have a whole lot of attacking power put in. So, we'll see the double down there. Chimecho gets Hitmonchan and takes 5 million. This obviously gives you confirmation that it's Choice Banded Hitmonchan. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe some weirdly offensive Chime, but I don't think it's ever taking that much. And of course, seeing the switch there confirms the CB. You know, he's staying it and Mach Punching or uppercutting otherwise. But Cacturne comes in, Pelipperton comes out. Cacturne is going to get a spike, unfortunately I can't see how many. And it is going to get a really unfortunate freeze. Now this is of course super good for Arctic. He has his agility Pelipper set up really well right now, because he already got rid of a Wailord, and now he's gotten rid of a Cacturne. So 2 water resists down. From there, it's pretty unlikely that your opponent's going to have an actual answer for your offensive water type from there. But the Metang comes out here, and I think Arctic Freeze very safely switches out there. Makes the most sense to do that because, based on what you've seen revealed, Pelipper in theory might have a really good end game. And yeah, Xylo's going to actually match Arctic's agility with his own, and we're again going to see this weirdly high amount of damage taken. And as you can see now, we have Arctic Freeze's full team on the screen, thankfully. What this told me when I was rewatching it is, again, Arctic, at this point we can even just safely say, yeah, he brought offense. I think this is just a more offensive Reflect Chimecho. You look at Arctic Freeze's team, something like a Pupitar, while not necessarily the biggest threat ever, because, you know, when am I getting great turns to try to set up? Who am I setting up against? The Hitmonchan? Maybe if it locks into a bad move. Glalie, that we don't set up versus that. Pelipper, we are getting KO'd by Surf. Haunter, you can't even set up versus because all it has to do is go for Explosion and then get in another Pokemon. Chimecho, I don't think we set up versus. And Metang, of course, that's hard to set up versus. Maybe you live a Meteor Mash, but I don't think so. I really don't. So, seeing Reflect here still feels a little... I was a little surprised, but of course it's going to work out really well for him because he's dealing with this Agility Metang. And having that extra bulk is still good. So, yeah, again, I'm just thinking offensive Reflect, maybe Reflect Calm Mind Chimecho. Just general buffer against physical attacks. Oh, you know what? Potentially another Pokemon he was worried about could have been Vigoroth. Just as another throw it out there. I don't think his team's weak to Vig, but I mean, extra protection for that kind of mon is cool. It's weird, because I would feel like that's for a lot of the offensive normal types, but between Metang, Haunter, and CB-Chan with Shirley, Mach Punch, not really too worried about them. At least I wouldn't think you'd be. Anyhow, we're going to see EQ trade. Of course, Arctic is really favored until you get crit through Reflect. That's absolutely terrible for Arctic. And we're also going to see we're going to see him crit through Reflect on Glalie again. I did calc it, it does matter. And he even gets an attack boost. And unfortunately here, Arctic ends up giving up his Pelipper. A Pokemon that probably could have won the game. Now, as we see, Pikachu comes out. Maybe he still could have ended up finding a way to set up with Pelipper. I feel like maybe if you sack Chime, that's a little bit better of a line. Like, go Pelipper to try to bait the Boom out. Go into Chime, and then go Hitmonchan here, because Hitmonchan still covers you versus the Pikachu. Or any just fast Pokemon last Pikachu, maybe Eradicate, something like that. And then I think you could maybe find a chance to set up with the Pelly. Anyhow, that's not the line we get. We see Mach Punch into Chime. Now this is actually a little risky for Xylo, of course. He could have gotten crit on either of those, and while he wouldn't lose, especially because Arctic, you know, lost his Pelipper, still could have been a little bit bad of a spot. Just a little bit bad, you know? Little teeny ounce of bad. And of course this Chime comes out, and we even see his Chime could never give this any room. It's faster with Taunt. So he was always going to be safe to finish his game off. And we're going to see some little peak of power right here. Nice and clean full tackle crit. That didn't matter at all. Offensive Tribeco is not dealing with this monster, this mountain of a man. And yeah, this is a very cool game to see. Of course, this means Arctic no longer undefeated. I think that means he's 6-1 in an UPL, so oh boy, one loss. But hey, the Arctic Breeze Slayer has been found, and his name is XyloXX, apparently. Anyhow, I hope y'all enjoyed this. This game was very cool to watch. I liked it. Still wondering, some of those damage calcs still have me a little confused, I'll admit, but I think at least I was able to, for my own sake, rationalize out something about the EV spreads and sets and whatnot. But I hope y'all enjoyed this. As you know, again, leave a like if you did, subscribe if you aren't already subscribed, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.